If anybody loves trains, it's me, Johnny Cash.
Lionel Trains has been the most iconic model train manufacturer for well over 100 years, but even the biggest legends have their flops. So today, we're going to look at what I think is Lionel's worst model train set. And here it is, everyone, what I think might be Lionel's worst model train set ever made. The Working on the Railroad set from 1978. Quickly, before we get into this, I do want to say that I understand completely that this is just a starter set made for kids, made for people getting into the hobby, and obviously we're not going to critique this like it's a, DCS legacy locomotive that you paid thousands of dollars for. I completely get that. But also, I do think that Lionel and all these brands are capable of making amazing starter sets when they really try, and I just don't feel like they tried with this set. So we are going to judge this set not just from the, it's not realistic, it's not prototypical sort of scale of things, but we're also going to look at why it's just not a very good starter set, because I think the best way to get people into the hobby is by making great starter sets and making things that people want to go buy more, not something like this that might turn someone off from the hobby. But anyway, guys, without any more yabbering, we are going to look at this set. Like I said, this was made in 1978. So it's got some age to it for sure, but this actually is a really good condition example. It's the best condition example of this set that I've ever seen. So first of all, here we have the Working on the Railroad Engineer's Manual. This, of course, is all of our, pieces. And as you can see here, we've got lots of the parts for the log dump accessory. But we'll get our first piece of rolling stock here. And the boilerplate has fallen off, but thankfully it's right here. And I want you guys to just look at this set. Or this locomotive, rather. This is just not what we are used to from Lionel at all. Even compared to other starter set engines, I just don't feel that this is a good representation at all of what Lionel's capable of. So some major issues that I have with it. First of all, I think that when there's the drive rod that is only connected to the back wheel, that became sort of a trend they did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think it looks horrible. It immediately gives it just a cheap look. The weight to this, there is no real weight to it. It's also got a very cheap feeling directional switch. As we saw earlier, parts of this fly off. This could be a choking hazard for young kids. That's sort of where we are going to get into the aspects of this that I think it fails as a starter set. It also has an interesting system of picking up power from the track, which is not super standard for Lionel. The wheels are all plastic, and they don't actually pick up power. I think that's a poor decision on their part as well. And overall, it just feels very cheap. What I'm actually going to do right now is grab the much more, in my opinion, higher quality starter set engine from Lionel that they produced for a number of years. Let's go see what this looks like compared to that. So here is a Lionel 442. This is from the Santa Fe Flyer set, but they put this engine in literally hundreds of sets from the 80s into like the early 2000s. They even still make this engine today with Lion Chief and stuff. But, these would have been comparable things. These probably, given inflation, cost a similar amount. And I think you guys can just see, this one, first of all, weighs so much more. But there's a big quality difference. Full disclosure, I was and still am planning to put the Lionel 442 in Worthless Trains Part 4, not because it isn't a good engine or anything, but just because they are super common. But I think that does everything that this engine should have done. I also don't like how the white gear is super exposed. Again, this doesn't have any quality feel to it. Let's look at some freight cars here, and I'll show you another one of my least favorite aspects of this set, and that is that they have body-mounted trucks that literally aren't even trucks. They just hold the wheels on, and they only have one set of wheels for each truck. I mean, this is just, in my opinion, the lowest Lionel ever went on the quality scale. The couplers are completely plastic. They do not open. They're attached by a very flimsy little piece there. And all of the decals are just stickers that, it's just rough. Everything about this set's rough. Something I mentioned in another video where I talked about a cheap locomotive from Lionel is that the plastic feels really sharp, and that is definitely the kind of quality that I'm picking up on this, is that it's very sharp. This is not something that I think would be good to put in a young child's hands, personally. And we'll keep grabbing these cars here. Again, the quality of this is just, it's much lower than even starter sets from around that same time. Nothing about this feels like it was made to last and stuff. And again, look at this. First of all, why are there two railroads on this tender? But you can just see it's all stickers. The individual wheel sets on the trucks is really shoddy. I actually haven't even seen this car before. Down here we have the very peculiar, unique transformer they're putting out at the time, which I will say, I think it is kind of fun that it has the feeling of a real throttle, but this is unfortunately not their most reliable transformer. So what I think we should do now is set up this loop of track, and we're going to give this train a run and just see how it performs. So let's get this loop of track set up, and I'll be right back with a full loop of track for us to run this train on. Alright, and I have set up this loop of track. I've put the train together. I left off the dump car just because I didn't think we needed it really to demonstrate my points that we're going to make here in a second. But I gotta say, the feeling I got putting this together was just a very low quality item. It felt like one of those cheap battery-powered train sets you buy at gift shops at train museums. It didn't feel like the Lionel product to me, you know. That's kind of the vibe I got. I will also say that I'm not the biggest fan of tube track. I'm just being honest with you guys. I know that my honesty sometimes gets me in trouble on this channel, but I've never loved Lionel tube track. I think it's a little bit iffy to put together, and I don't think it looks that great, if we're going to be honest, or at least that's just my opinion. But I'm not going to deduct any points from the set because of that, since that was, you know, the standard track at the time for basically everything, not just starter sets. I've put the red throttle remote that came with the set. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it. But let's give this set a shot here and see what it does. I'm amazed. I did not think that transformer was going to work. Okay, so we are up and running. I will say it's a decently smooth runner. I was concerned that those pickups on the bottom that don't actually hold down to the rail very tightly were going to cause us trouble, but it does seem to be running just fine. I'm not seeing too many, you know, stops or jitters or anything. It feels to be very, very smooth. But I just think that my overall issue with this train and this set, I'll just stop it so that you can hear me better. I think the issue I have with this set and just everything we've looked at in this video that really kind of rubs me the wrong way about it is that it's not representative of what else Lionel was producing at the time, and it's not representative of what the company is able to produce. I think that the set in general is really cheap feeling. I think that the single-wheeled trucks on the freight cars, I think that the crappy, you know, all-plastic couplers, and just the lightweight design to everything in this set are not a good enticement to get people into the train hobby. I think if I bought this, I'd be like, this sucks. I don't want to ever buy another train in my life, you know? So that's me personally. I will quickly bring back up this engine again here, because this again is, you know, the ultimate, like, cheap starter set engine, but I think this is just a much better product. First of all, it's got the normal Lionel pickups on the bottom with metal wheels that conduct. It weighs a ton more. The body is die-cast. This has a whistle, which this doesn't have. This has a headlight, which this doesn't have. And, you know, I think if you factor out inflation, these probably cost about the same, you know, at their respective times. This set was from the late 90s. The set we're looking at in this video is from the late 70s. So, guys, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I don't really think that this is a great set at all. I think this is Lionel's worst train set they've made, or maybe at least one of them. But let me know what you think in the comments. And I want to hear your opinions on Lionel's Working on the Railroad set from 1978. If you, for some reason, want to buy this set, it will be for sale at my model train store. All the info for that is in the description. But in the meantime, guys, thanks for watching another video. I appreciate all of you very, very much, and I'll see you in the next one.